This is the Truth Frequency Radio Network.
We are TFR.
Truth Frequency Radio. When you finally boil it all down, magic is imagination. We are moving into an age of manifestation. Things become actually less material, more ethereal. The golden dawn is when we awaken to this new station of life. What you think becomes real quicker. Regain our imagination, regain our inner child, and let that inner child out.
My name is Frank Castle, founding member of the music group Heist and New York City Neo Shaman. After a serious injury sidelined my career in 2013, I decided to set out on an adventure to search for myself with the help of the plant medicine Ayahuasca. What I discovered waiting for me was something I could have never prepared for. It was time for me to become something more, someone more. It was time I became fearless. Shine as my heart beats a rhythm with space and time. When the light starts to shine inside your third eye, you awake to the knowledge that you never die. What is up, everyone? That's right, it's your man Frank Castle, Sorcerer Supreme, of Saturday nights right here on TFR. I'm sitting right next to my etherical translator, Paula Milo.
Hey, everyone.
What is going on, people? Welcome to the now. Shout outs to Chris and Cherie. Without you guys,
there'd be no fearless.
So thank you so much for bringing us and making us part of the family. Shout outs to everyone in the chat room. What's up? Love you guys. Don't forget to sign up to TFR.
Get a subscription.
Get the app. Listen free. If you like it, go back and listen to all the past episodes.
Join the chat room. They're crazy.
It's awesome.
It's unhinged.
If you really like the show, check me out on YouTube, Frank Castle Fearless.
Yeah,
And
all the previous shows are up on YouTube. So
not all of them.
Not.
What are you calling? What are you crazy?
Sorry.
There's 19 episodes. We're on episode 64 tonight.
Okay, weirdo.
Well, that's a lot.
All right.
But yeah, you could check out the whole first season, kind of, right?
Yes.
That's pretty awesome. And if you like the music you hear, HeistClick, that's Heist Click.
Okay, so we got cut off last week when you were finishing your story.
Yes.
And
what were we talking about? I was trying to remember.
We were talking about our experience at in South Carolina.
Yes, I remember now.
Right, for the eclipse. Now, Frank gets messages, emails, phone calls from all over the world, which I think is amazing. I mean, if you would have asked us even a year ago, I mean, just the responses have been amazing. And so after last week's show, Frank got bombarded with phone calls, messages, and emails. And he's been, really taking his time, responding to people. So if he didn't get to you, just hang on. There was just a lot of, and he's trying to respond in the order that they were received. So if he didn't get to you, just give him a little time. He will get back to you. He responds to every single message he receives.
Yes, and just to let you know, a lot of times people, they tell me their story, right, which is really cool.
Yes.
And I'll read the story, but I can't reply with my story every time, right?
Yeah, because it's just an influx of people trying to contact Frank.
Right. So I'm just gonna be, cool with it, and then you most likely will get me on the phone. Yeah. And shout outs to all the people that are coming.
Oh yeah, yes, we have so many people coming for ayahuasca experiences, and the funny thing is, I needed to stop working because my health, my medical condition. So this is the first full week that I've been out of work, and I was like, oh, I'm going to be home and I have no purpose again and I'm injured and, and then bam, 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 we're booked. The whole, all of September is booked. So I have a feeling that I know what I'll be doing most of September, and with the way things are going, I know more people want to book,
We already have October
yes,
coming in.
to book days and to come in and,
For those of you that have decided to work with me and allow me to provide you the space to succeed in getting your singularity, the center of the spider web, to start retracting
yep.
those fractals so
Well,
you could start transmuting this stuff.
Just getting as close to source as you can.
Oh, you're going to be in source. All right, but, you've chosen well, and you're not going to be let down because this is how we do it. Now, quick disclaimer before we go any further. Oh my, this is the story of my journey and my journey alone. I don't suggest you try this at home alone. That is, unless you're ready, then by all means proceed. But first, we suggest you finding a reputable shaman who knows what he or she is doing and travel safe in the love and the light. And remember, the universe rewards bravery. And indeed, there will be a bunch of new witnesses to this. The tide is turning. The light has come on in a bunch of us. I'm not going to talk at you. We're all in this together.
Yes, we are.
Right? So I remember last week now exactly what I wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
Last week we were sitting in the fire pit.
Yes, in
right?
South Carolina.
In South Carolina.
After the eclipse happened.
Yes. I totally forgot. That's not even on my list for tonight's show, but I really wanted to finish that story.
That's where we got cut off, kind of. So we had we all drank. We all had our experiences and we're coming out of it, and we decided to all gather at the fire pit.
Yes. Okay. You were already kind of beat up.
I was very beat up. And thank you to all the people who reached out to see how I am. I'm much better than I was even last week. I really am, and I want to thank you. And I know a lot of you have experienced very similar things.
Or it's coming online now.
And I understand, and I thank you for sharing. That was very touching. I thank you for sharing your stories.
So we go out to the fire pit, and I can see something quite different. I walk outside, and I say, hey, I know there's only 5 of us here.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that there's 2 other people in the house. But I count 6 people sitting by the fire. And I was like, roll call. And I seen everyone said their name. And then I said, okay. And I saw everyone else who didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pretty far away from the fire. I had like walked around the butterfly bush and looked and went, what, did the neighbors come over here? Like I was bugging out.
Yeah.
I was freaking out. I'm like, what? But then I noticed they were standing just out of the fire light,
mm-hmm.
right behind who was sitting at the fire. So I said, hey, you got some buddies here. Now, naturally, one side was explaining their story, what was occurring with them,
mm-hmm.
while we were sitting on the other side listening to the story. Now, you were sitting kind of across from me on the angle, on the other side of the fire.
Yes.
And as the story was being told, it was as if I did something wrong and now they were suffering for what I did.
Right.
Right. So
yeah.
I was trying to explain, because how could you explain to your friends that the artificial intelligence is running rampant inside your ayahuasca ceremony, and we're all seeing it, but it's up to you to discern what's real or not, or you're stuck in the fractal. I can't break you free. I can say, hey, look, but if you're like, no,
right.
That's not
There's
how it
nothing
is.
we can do.
I drank more than you. I should know. I surpassed the shaman instinct and all that. And I'm like, okay, I'm not even going to get involved. So it wasn't bad. It wasn't like bad mojo. It was still good mojo, but it was like, okay, that's what you're doing. Like, I can see as your shaman, this is what's happening in this construct. So we go outside, and they were explaining what had happened. And they pushed the idea at me that something that we all did in a group that I was leading back in the day, we're being thrown under the bus and judged for it. And what's the one rule we have? Well, we have a rule. There's no kneeling, there's no praying, there's no bowing, there's no judgments.
Right.
This is like a judgment-free area.
And, the whole Aya experience, I feel, and again, I love these 2 people. I love them. But I think their experience was very real and very true for them. But Aya does not judge.
There is zero judgment from
and
the Egyptian pantheon that I talk about, from Shiva.
yeah.
They don't judge you.
And they don't really.
They don't
Look,
snap at you.
I'm not gonna say because I really don't know. But in my experience, I've never been judged, and I've never been forced.
Why would the most
choose.
loving, fearing experience that's freeing you to turn you into the creator judge you?
Well, I mean, even my horrible experiences, we weren't judged. Like when we were fish and they took our fish baby. I mean, that really happened. You can believe it or not. But even during that experience, there was no judgment. It was just very factual. This is what happened.
Yeah, when you're sitting with the truth, it's just you and whatever the truth is.
Even if the truth is ugly and you don't like it, I never felt in any way that there was any judgment.
There's not any, right? They're freeing you from your fractals. Sometimes you get trapped in the fractals. That's why it's not confrontational, like people might assume. Like, okay, that's what you're doing. I'm past you, and you're not, and I drank more. And this, no, that's not what happened.
Right.
It was very okay. This is what's happening here, and now I'm just going to mind my business and walk away. And I'll check on for your health purposes.
I'll check on you and make sure you're okay.
Everything. Everyone's still friends. Okay, so we go outside.
Right.
And I see all these extra people.
Their conversation is getting a bit aggressive.
A little bit aggressive.
Aggressive and passionate, I would say.
Yes.
There wasn't any anger. It was just passion and aggression. So they start stoking the fire. And
they say to me, it was said to me that we have to kind of like suffer a little bit for this, like we're being thrown under the bus because of what happened and you're being judged. And I said no. As the fire jumped out, he stoked the fire in anger. The fire jumped out at me, right in my face. I put my hand up in front of me. I stood up and I yelled no. And the fire jumped from me back across the complete opposite way and landed right in Paula's face, who was equally as far away. Now it's double as far when it's coming at me, and then it shoots back. Like I was telling people, you were like almost 20 feet away from me because I was standing up
you were
behind the seats, and I had walked up and said, "No, I don't think so." And
it deflected.
It deflected and went all the way to you, and I watched you collapse, and you went, "Frankie, I'm gonna
pass out."
Yeah, I'm gonna pass out. And I ran around the outer edge of this giant fire pit around everyone, and I grabbed her by the face, and she fainted. In my hand. She was like, when you faint, you faint. And I was like, it's okay, it's okay. Now, we have this happen at times. We have people pass out, things go on, right? So I'm like, oh, it's okay. Gina comes around, grabs you.
I don't know how she got to me so fast, really.
Well,
it's like Twilight. I don't know how fast she got to me. But no, seriously, she got to me so fast, and they dragged me into the house.
We had a cold lift her. I don't know if you guys ever lifted anyone like that.
Yeah,
like who's just out.
Yeah.
No, I'm not making fun of. I'm just saying we literally had to do that to you.
Yeah.
And that's not, we went around the whole place into the front of the house. Okay. So I come back outside after putting you down, and I walk back outside. I said, can we try that again? Let's do that again, because that just jumped off of me. So tell me again how I'm not the sovereign integral, that I'm not it. Tell me again so I can make that fire jump now that way, because it's going to occur. And the conversation changed completely. Mm-hmm. It was like, whoa, did you see that? And then, well, maybe this and it was like, look. And then Gina started playing with the fire, and they were stoking the fire. They were getting up and getting a little, because it was going back and forth again. And I realized there was a negotiation taking place. Yes. I realized that an awesome group of people, right, was split into two factions. Now, as above, so below, right? But it wasn't split into two factions. It was earth and fire, right? And water, fire, air, all sitting together. Yeah. Right? Now, I don't want to make jokes and make the Captain Planet joke. Right, wherever there's 5 guys, each one has a ring, and when they yell Captain Planet, one's fire, one's earth, one's. That's all. That's yes.
Yeah, everyone was being represented.
It was the Anubis faction, the dogs, and the cats being overseen by the great bird. Like I was watching this take place, and everyone was in agreement on a soul level to advance.
Yeah.
But at their level, but this was the good part. See, I find the really great stuff in this, and it really is the epic part. It's agreed upon to come together as one when necessary and do whatever is necessary. Right? So I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to take this information and go back to my people.
Right.
Right? And you're going to go back over here and you're going to take it to your people. And we're agreed upon.
Right.
Even though the negotiations were awkward.
Right.
Well, how do cats and dogs mingle? Right? A dog will turn around. He'll pee on you if you don't like what you're saying. He'll bite you. Right? But he won't bite you that hard. Like he'll hold his ground. But then he'll calm down and be like, you just want to get along. You want to be my friend. Okay. And then it starts where a cat is hyper finicky.
Yes.
He stands around the outskirts, watches the whole time.
Yeah, they're
whispers in your ear,
they're
kinda.
aloof and mysterious.
Yeah.
They don't need you.
Right? They'll come over. They'll say, hey, why don't you do this or do that? Right? It's just different personalities. Yeah. And what's the bird doing? He's watching from the tree going, hey, guys, cut it out.
Yep.
Don't forget what you're doing. Now, I'm seeing that. And we were all under. So we were coming out of it. And that's all still right there on the table. Like you can see it still.
Oh, it was very,
like,
it was
the
very
Aya
early.
doesn't wear off when you're done. Like it
No.
kind of hangs around for like 28 days and you're hyper in this realization that these things are occurring.
Oh, yes, you're very aware that these things are occurring, but the experience itself, we were all out of it. And then some of us jumped back in. Like when I passed out, I went right back into my experience for probably an hour after that.
That's right. You stayed in the house for a bit.
Yeah,
And
I had to. I
checking
couldn't get out of the bed.
And then you, excuse me, you were having issues with the experience as well. We know what happened to you during the experience, but afterwards,
you
were still like, it's almost like when the AI gets in you, right?
Mm-hmm.
They keep showing it to you. It's not like the ayahuasca shows you the fractal. You go, oh, that was me. That kind of sucks.
You work through it, and then
it's gone.
the next thing.
And then you go, oh, somebody loved me and hugged me, and then you get a hug and a love, and then it starts again.
No, I was kind of stuck in
this
a loop.
was,
yeah.
Let me jam my tentacle in you and keep you here till you overheat. Because if you come out of this with knowledge, which is no weapon will prosper be used against us right now. Anything that you use on us only makes us stronger because we know that you're there.
Oh yeah, I thought you were gonna pop.
Your head was on fire.
What is that called? Internal combustion. Mm-hmm. I never got that hot in my life.
We had ice bags on
ice packs, yeah, and you know the only one person I've ever seen that happen to in all the eye experiences that we've had with other people is Gina. Gina overheats. It's like she overheats and she can't cool down.
Right, but now we're seeing, and one of the things we're going to talk about tonight is why the overheating actually occurs. It's a trap that they push you to your limit, your fear limit, right? Like, I'll show you abduction after abduction after abduction after kid getting taken.
Yeah, but I wasn't afraid.
But they'll keep repeating it till you get sick. You know, when they show you, they open your eyes and repeat the evil images.
When you're in the loop, yeah. And I even asked. I said, I want to be. I didn't ask. I demanded that this stop. And I kept saying, this needs to stop. I'm done. I'm finished. I'm done. And then it would stop, and then it would start over again. And then at that point, I was like, no, this is where we stop. You know, and you can stop your experience, so you can slow it down.
You can just ask.
If you feel physically the experience is too much for you, you can just take yourself out of it. You can ask them to just stop everything.
She knows when you're gonna pop,
right?
And goes, but come over here.
Because your brain will not allow anything to happen to your body. Your brain's job is to protect your body, so it will shut it down if it thinks your body is in danger. And I mean, like
I've had the doorbell ring and I'm in a full other side, the peak of my experience, it will completely shut off.
Right.
And I will get
you'll
up
come back to
and
Earth.
Talk to everyone.
Yeah.
Do what I have to do, lay back down, and I'm like, oh, it must have been over. Like it might be over. And then
it'll start all over again.
So hard that you'll lose your
Right. Well, that's what happened to me. I mean, honestly, with the fire pit, when I went back in, I didn't think it was going to start all over again. And then, you know, like I said before, when I was telling it, no, now I'm done. You had put a towel on the bed. Frank has his mother bought him this Star Wars towel. But it had his scent on it. So I said, please, can I have your towel? And I wrapped his towel around me and I was smelling it because it has Frank's scent on it. And it really did slow everything down. So
it's like a grounding technique.
It was like that towel grounded me, and then I held it all night, and then I blew my nose in it because I cried for 4 hours. But that's another story. But the towel, having a personal effect with you, helped get me out of the experience as well, to end the experience. And there was just a lot of energy. I think because everyone's experience was so intense, there was so much energy flowing in the house that when you walked literally through the house just to get a cup of coffee, you felt the energy. You really did. There was it was like everyone's entities were there to represent them.
Oh,
and it felt very crowded.
Okay, now let's talk about this real quick.
Yeah.
All right. Right after that happened, what did each and every one of us individually come to the table at different moments and start saying? Do you remember?
No.
We got to get out of here.
Oh, yes. We had a beautiful screened-in porch with a picnic table on it. So we had this was the next day, because that night felt
at the end of that night, I was sitting up with the guys.
Yeah.
And I heard sitting right there, they said, Frank, you have to go outside and talk to the entity that's standing out there.
Right outside.
It wants some respect for you being here. So I said, I'll go out by myself. You stay here. And I took the flashlight and went out, and they were going, no, that's far enough, Frank. No, Frank. And because this place was creepy at night.
Creepy.
And we kept seeing in the background.
The lizard people.
We kept seeing things moving and jumping in and out of the water off the dock.
I don't care what anybody thinks. They were lizard people. I saw them. I saw the outlines. I felt the feeling. I heard what they were saying. You believe me or not? Like I said, I don't care.
So I'm out there.
But it was a little scary.
I say to them, thank you, showing you some respect for allowing us this time here. I appreciate it. Now stop scaring everyone in the house. And I heard you guys got till, and then
it was
they
like
said
24 hours.
Yeah, to get together, right? And I could see there was a bubble that originally was out on the lake. Right, covering us like a shield around.
Smaller, yeah.
And it was right next to the house, and I was standing right outside of the bubble, and I'm like, oh, wait a second! It looked like the top of the Trouble Bubble game.
Yeah.
Right.
Ooh, yeah.
Well, we were like inside that, but it was getting smaller, and I'm like, is there an hourglass turned upside down? Like that's what I felt.
What it felt
and
like,
the sands were running out, and as that was occurring, the background was like shadows moving and these things growling and talking, and we were in the house, and we'd go, I waved at this thing from the window. Like I was in the screened-in patio with a bunch of us.
That's right.
And I was with Jay. And Jay goes, what are you doing? I go, is that my my shadow from up here on the tree right there? And he's like, I don't think so. So I go, no, look. And I waved my hand to block the light, and it didn't. My shadow was over on the other side.
Yeah, it didn't move.
And then I could see my hand over there. And then I look back near the tree, and this thing waves back at me. And I go, oh, you can't be serious. There's someone out there hanging out. And then I go, wait a second, and I started putting it together. I'm like, wait, this might be real. I think they're out there, right there, getting closer each day, because our protection's up when our contract's up for our place.
Right.
Because the place is called, we were at 111 Fair Play, South Carolina, on Lake Hartwell. Like everything was like running in that perfect combination.
Yes.
But when you hit 12 o'clock and it's noon, after the next time it clicks, it's after the hour.
Well,
now you got to go.
Well, the next morning that happened to me also.
We had to leave by the time.
I heard them say, okay, it was very nice that you're here, but you have to leave now. And I walked down to the dock by myself to say good morning to the water and all the elementals. And that's what I heard. You have to go now. Thank you for being here, but you have to go now.
Yeah, we all got that talking to. I got you guys cleaned up real nice. Now get out.
Yeah,
and
it was
like,
almost
whoa.
like, and we were talking about small towns, that town is like, I think the population is less than 400.
Jay was saying,
the total town population was less than 400 people.
You don't want the attention here no more.
No, they didn't want that's where we were going last time. They didn't want attention brought to them, because I think that the DNA is in the people who live in that town. So that's why it's everywhere. Reptilian DNA, they're protecting their part of the world. They're part of their, they're part of the country. The characters that lived in the town were dead set on these things being there. And if you see them, this is how you should act. And we're outsiders, not because we're from the north. We're just outsiders because we're not of the same DNA. Right. Yes.
So this is how it goes down, people. When the human suit will wear the DNA, it has mostly reptilian DNA, then those people will be in those areas, be born into those areas
to protect
to
their
literally
area.
protect the 3D environment
so
that they're in.
those other entities can exist in the same space.
It
Otherwise, you bring attention to it, and then they have to go elsewhere.
Yeah, because you can push them out. Because remember, as we chop down trees and move in,
right? So
it just drives.
Why...
These reptilians do not want to be seen because that's it. Game over. It's a rule.
Well, didn't one
once
of them
you got
set
one and put it
one of them set off a car alarm? The car alarm. It
jumped
from the tree.
on the tree to the car.
I didn't see it, but I heard it.
We're in the middle of nowhere, we're in a perfect parking spot next to the garage and everything, in a space by the house.
Yeah.
And then the car alarm goes off. Then you hear the thump on the house, and then the neighbor's car alarm goes off.
Like, what's that?
And I'm like, are we back in the Bronx?
No, what's that M. Night Shyamalan movie? The one with Mel Gibson.
Signs.
Signs. It was kind of like that, but not as scary, but just as scary.
But first frightening is, I remember I told my brother this story, and he said to me, "How are you not frightened to your core?" I said, "I don't care anymore. There's nothing. I'm getting me back, Rob." Yeah. Right? And he was like, "Yeah, but reptilians." And I'm like, "Nah, Conan, bro."
But it's like what we talked about yesterday, and we've talked about this 1,000 times. When you believe, you have to believe it's all true. You cannot pick and choose like a buffet, like Gigi.
It was funny. I saw that book. It said Sasquatch or the reptilians. All right,
we're going to lose you.
When we come back, it's the reptilian agenda and the insect infestation. Your protection from deception. And we're fearless. It's so much fun being fearless. You get up and you just get this sense of, man, I just don't care anymore because I am it. It's the all, baby. We are here and we are in effect.
You are now tuned into the truth frequency.
Your protection from deception. TLR.
Truth Frequency Radio.
Am I awake or is this a dream? A fantasy where I'd rather be. So come and talk with me. Come and walk with me. Is this a wake-up call from my reality? Have you seen my friends? Have you seen my girl? Wake me up from this. I'm trapped in this world. Thought you were alive until you felt my pain. The circus in
We are back. Live. All right. As if the conversation doesn't get weird enough on the show, I want to thank everyone for being a part of my fearless journey. I love you guys.
And someone likes your song.
Oh, thanks, guys. That's Come Alive. You can get it everywhere, pretty much. And I only have 2 songs out by Frank Castle. Everything else is under Heist Click. But that was Come Alive, and I have Hate Me. Check it out. YouTube and all those other great places. Amazon and iTunes. All right. This gets weird now. All right. As we go further, Gina and I were talking about this. What do we do next? We got the AI, right? We lock the AI out. We do sigils, lock out the AI. Great. Fantastic. Now what? We're supposed to be bringing in this light being, this consciousness, doing all these things. But I go out to my brothers and I realize that I still can't connect to my family prior to having an ayahuasca ceremony. So I say to myself, well, apparently, even I have a ton of things to work out because as high as I vibrate, I can't make a connection back with my fam. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah, but I think it's because they're vibrating on a different frequency.
Completely different frequency.
You know,
but
and I think that's
it's hard. These are people I love very, very much and that I care about. And, you know, stupid things happen and things go down and it just shows you your position. Now,
I know. I know. I was with my nephew started college and we were helping him move into his apartment today. And I was with my sister and I said, you know, I just have to be back before the show. And I made it back with a half hour to spare. And, you know, I love my family. They're beautiful. They love me. But when it comes to the show, they don't ask me. They don't talk about it. They just say, okay. It's like it doesn't happen.
It's not even just the show aspect. It's like I'm so in a position, and I think I've spoke to a lot of people this week, a lot. And let me tell you something. Everybody is having the same issue.
Yeah.
They have no one to talk to.
No connection to people.
And anyone that tries to make a connection, they can see through your bullshit instantly, and they don't know why. They just know that their meter is going off, and they're like, I got to get out of here. I have no one to talk to. And boom, they hear the show and go, wait
I
a
have
second.
someone to talk to now.
You guys are actually discussing this. I didn't even know that anyone else but me was having this go on.
Right.
Oh, my God. Now I'm working with people in their 20s, early 20s, into their 60s, right? So I'm seeing a common denominator, and I'm like, yo, but we have each other. I keep saying, don't worry. We have each other. I love you. Don't worry about it. You're going to wake up. We're all waking up. We're doing this together. You know, we only make leaders here. And then I go, I can't make a connection with my younger brother, my favorite person, you know, like
I know
like my nephew,
I know,
like my favorite person. Like it goes favorite. And I'm like, oh, so difficult. So I know you guys are having the problem connecting with the people closest to you, but we can't beat them up. But at the same time, we have to learn how to do it like a workaround.
Yeah.
But not bend to them. Like, do us solid. You can take care of yourself. And then as these people enter, you understand how they're going to react. So you shouldn't maybe even talk about it.
No,
maybe you shouldn't tell them about waking up, and you shouldn't say nothing. Maybe just drop a Bitcoin note or say something about gold or silver and walk out of the room.
I don't discuss any of this with anyone that doesn't want to discuss it, because then it becomes moot.
Now,
there's no reason to do that.
There's a point to this, though. As we go deeper into this, you realize the construct is keeping us in a vibration by our own fault, because we can't see what's happening. But now you're getting the ability to see, and with great power comes great responsibility, right? And I'm like, I made a lot of jokes. I'm like, do I need to make a new sigil so I could stay in the lower vibration and be protected? And they were like, no. You're just vibrating too high for everyone else, right? But that's where you need to be now.
That's where you need to be.
So I ask questions like, hey, listen to me. Am I supposed to go all the way to the far end, go all the way to the end, and then just walk back in the door and be like, look who's here? And I know that sounds weird, but there's a whole bunch. Why not?
Why not?
And because then I'll be the teacher. I'll literally be able to teach.
We've learned so much. Just think about how much we've learned just the last 2 years.
How about the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, how about the last 2 weeks?
I've learned more in the last 2 weeks than I've learned in the last 2 years.
It's an eye-opener. But everything around us. And since South Carolina, since our shared Aya experience, it has been a game of connect the dots ever since.
And they're getting easier to connect.
Yes, and
checkpoint
everywhere.
We're getting once you get to a checkpoint, no matter what happens to you anywhere.
It's like you close the loop on something. Yeah. You got the answer for something you've been asking yourself for years.
How do I do
I? Or a deja vu episode that you keep repeating. It finally plays out. The entire thing plays out. So you know why that keeps happening to you. That's a checkpoint as well.
Yes.
You know, anything that answers a question that you've been waiting for the answer.
Yes.
And so we had a lot of. Oh, did I?
No.
I thought I almost set you on fire.
It's okay. I'm on fire.
Sorry. It's been one big game of connect the dots.
Now, connecting these dots is leading us now to different things. One of the interesting things I've been able to do during meditation, and now I could just do it. If I hold out my left hand in the house, this happened outside. It only happens to a certain degree, though, I noticed, like around my space. That sounds funny, right? Mm-hmm. My space. But your my personal space. Area, I can lift my hand and pull the AI out of anything directly into a construct into my hand. I can keep the house empty of it. Mm-hmm. But the person themselves that has it in them, that hasn't locked it out, has to purge it out themselves.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not quite at the ability to pull it out of you.
No, because that's
your stuff. Yeah, exactly. So that's one of the interesting things that goes on. But now that that's out of the way, we go back to what Gina and I were talking about. Because you and I saw snake men. Right? I don't know how to explain what we saw. They were giant men things with long arms, and there were electronic devices being used. I saw all kinds of stuff going on in the room. All right. So this is what we ask. What else is there? What's next? Light being it? Come on, bring it on. And this is what happens. I go under, and it's nothing like it's
After this experience, yeah.
yeah.
you went
Just
under
the other
recently.
day to ask the question, why can't I connect to my family members? And what's next? Like, what do we do now? Am I cleaned out? Do I still have AI in me?
Yeah,
Check it out.
everyone feels this.
And they were
this-
like, no.
we all feel the same way. We're waiting for something to happen.
Right,
We
so-
don't know what it is, though.
Yeah,
but everyone
I can
feels
tell
it.
the story the way that my job, my purpose is to tell the story exactly the way it's shown
happened.
to me. Yes, exactly the way it happened, without exaggeration.
Right.
Because you don't need exaggeration for this. You
Oh
did-
no!
you
There's,
did.
I mean, it just
If you
sounds so
under
unreal.
exaggerate, you're already in the crazy house, right? So,
I didn't think of that. Funny.
so I start to feel as if the bubble around me. They were like, "There's no AI in you. Don't worry about it. There's no demon in you. Like your demons, your demon. He's still Christ consciousness." And I know Chris Gio has a, and he's my brother, and has a different theory on the Christ consciousness and the raw. I'm just going to say this. It's the exact same thing to me. So we're not talking about different things. The raw consciousness, he's talking about the mimicry of what's shown to you to get you the fake guru
Yeah, and
stuff.
it's his opinion. So.
And wait. So they do this to pigeonhole you, right? So Chris is pointing out, look, even the road to the Christ consciousness is some BS. It's another hole that they trap you in, and he's correct, right? And the raw consciousness is where it's at. But to help you understand it better, but I think I like the raw consciousness idea better. But the Christ in things, have this beat into my head, but then I went above it and beyond, past the illusion, past the, what else would you call a light being? The raw body, right? Or the light body, or the Christ head, like whatever. That's all the same.
Whatever you
thing.
whatever it takes for you to recognize
And
it,
it's
it doesn't
beautiful.
matter.
Yeah, it does not matter.
It doesn't matter.
Right? Because there's people that aren't going to make the connection the right way that you think is the right way,
But
and
it's
it's
their
going to
reality
be
anyway.
their
so
reality's perfect connection because
Yeah.
it's their symphony playing in the right way. Okay, so they start telling me, look, you're going to have to do this part alone. And I'm like, what do you mean alone? Right? And I'm like in this bubble, and I'm going, Paula?
Yeah.
And they're like, no. And I
No.
hear you go, I'm here, but I can't see you. They won't let me in. And then you came around the back, and you're like, but I'm here. And I heard you behind me. And I'm like, this is interesting. So I go, Ra, Shiva, nothing. But I could tell that what's going to happen, everyone's watching me. All eyeballs are on me. So I'm laying there, and I'm not being scanned. It was really weird. I kept having breathing issues, and I kept going, to get me out of my body. This is too intense. And they're like, you want to come out of your body? The one that always wants to be in your body? We agreed to keep you in your body. I go, why are you arguing points with me? Get me out of here.
Right.
And they said, okay. And they started tugging. And I was like, stuck. They were like, oh, we can't. And I go, what do you mean you can't? They're like, well, you're tied to your light body. And you like everything's being worked on. So I can't take you out. Like you're in. Too bad. Right. Now, if you'd have said in the beginning, yes, we would have just did it. And I'm like, okay, I'm being watched though. I go, there was this triangle it looked like 10 feet in front of me. It was pretty big. It was like 4 feet big. And the background was white. And I can see hands over the edges of the triangle. Like somebody was hiding behind it. And I said, all right, well, I guess we're going to play peekaboo now. I guess something else is going to be learned today. So they're like, yeah. So they're like, we're going to put this thing they put this breathing thing over my face. And it looked like a scuba thing again.
Scuba man.
So I felt comfortable to breathe and be on the other side. So I was like, this is really, really awkward. I go, I got an idea. Since nobody's telling me what's going on, I want you to show me my enemy. Show me the face of my new enemy. Because apparently this has nothing to do with my family and my parents. So I want to see it. And I hear a voice say, nope. And I go, what do you mean, no? And the voice said to me, you're going to be frightened of this. You're going to be scared.
Right.
then I said, no, I'm not. I'm the fearless one, blah, blah, blah. And then I started to feel nervous, like a vibration changed in me. And I was like, ooh. And then the white background got a little darker. And I went, what's happening? Right? It was like a fear coming on.
Right.
And I went, no, I'm fearless. And they were like, son of Atlantis, you're going to get scared. And I said, no, I'm not. Show it to me. And they go, okay. And they lifted this block, the triangle out of the way. And there's this reptilian guy. I'm getting nervous. He was right there, standing there, staring me in the face. So he was huge. Right. And his eyes turned yellow. They were yellow. And he looked right at me. And I was like, I made the noise like a little kid, like, reptilian. Right. And then I went, get him. And my arms reached out and I almost got him. He jumped.
Right.
Like totally in fear of me, out of the way. And they were like, what are you doing? And I went, yeah, everything stop. Get him. I want him. Not afraid of you, buddy. We've been down this road before. You guys are beating the crap out of us. You're hiding like that inside the construct somewhere in our minds that you can't, like, I don't understand what's happening here. Do I have to do a sigil to lock this thing out? What do I do? And they're like, not quite. This is a physical issue. And I go, what do you mean it's a physical issue? They're like, well, you know how like you're sitting in your body? That thing's sitting in its body.
In its body.
But it's also sitting in your body.
Right.
And I'm like, wait, what? They're like, okay, let's show you a couple of things. We're going to teach you something. And I'm like, all right, show it to me. And I could see the lizard running in the background, trying to get away from something. And I was like, is it trying to escape my view? Because there's nowhere for you to go. Like,
right.
I've already chased the AI out. I know how to like run down the blocks and the places. And, oh, look, there's a dirty spot. Quick, clean that up. Like as I'm running through it now, I don't stop and go, duh, look at the red balloon. I go, I want the lizard man here in front of me. I saw you. You try to scare me. I'm done being scared. Come out, because I can't in the physical realm. What am I supposed to do if the 8-foot creature shows up at my door? Nothing, right? Unless I change into the light body until the raw consciousness comes out 100%. And what have we been given? Gifts and this and that. So one of the weird things that started happening to me was that I remember Gina saying to me, are you all right? And I'm going, nah, we're layered with them, their DNA. In the very beginning, the base layer is them. So it's a reptilian DNA and then an insectoid DNA, which is really weird. It's very uncomfortable. It's all different kinds of insects too. It's not even just one type. It's a bunch of different things. And that allows them to connect to you through the technology that they use. Also, the ones that can come out of their body and just do this stuff that we do,
right.
They can just connect to you because you're in their lineage, because you're part of their DNA. So they always get in. And you're like, how do they get in? And it's like, well, you're like them. It's you. They gave us their biological information so they could access us.
Later on.
Yes. I know that sounds so creepy and so weird, but what I started seeing is I chased this reptile down. Insects were everywhere, the way the AI was, but these were like real insects. And I'm like, wait a second. What are those bugs? And they're like, those bugs are, we talk about this all the time, archons, right? I don't even like calling them that. I'm going to eventually give them some kind of really crappy name that will make us laugh, that will make them get really upset at us, so we can push that envelope and let them know, because they don't like us laughing at them. So we'll come up with some clown shoe name for them, right? And then maybe clown shoe will work. Clown shoes comes out. And I'm like, oh, so the insectoids are doing this above the reptoids in some kind of weird dominating position.
Right.
And the insectoids know about the AI and know what it does and just avoid it, right? But it acts just like them. It's one of those locust type scenarios, right? Where we just absorb the information and move on, right? Like keep it in the zoo and then keep going. So these insects do the same thing, literal locust type situations, but they're accessing you through you. So I'm laying there and I'm wondering, like, I'm chasing this thing around going, what do I do? And they go, lay down, stop squirming. And I go, wait, what? And once again, Christ pose, right? Arms pinned down to the floor. There's being steps on my face, which is hard. This foot was gigantic. And a chunk of me is torn out. And I go, what are you doing? And then I went, wait a second. They're not accessing that part of me no more. He's, hold on. Another part was ripped out. Part of my face, throat, neck. They picked up the back of my head. They tore something out. They go, you don't need any of that stuff anymore.
Wow.
And I go, what are you doing? They're like, we're peeling out the layers that belong to them.
Right.
We're not
You
allowing
don't
their
need it
access.
anymore.
You want to shut them out, remove the layers. You got to remove those layers. I go, hey, you're removing DNA. They're like, we're removing it on the spiritual end. We're getting everything out,
Right.
one piece at a time. Your light body can't have any of that in it,
Yeah,
right?
well,
Like
that's
you
'cause it's
can't
gotta
have an
stay light.
infection. Yeah, you got to lose everything and
Yeah.
get light, right? You are the everything, but you can't have that stuff running the program at all because that's how they access you and get in. So you're going to push them out, close that out,
Mhm.
and then become this. So if it becomes physical
Right.
and you do see them, because now we go through the whole, you could be scared to death.
Yes.
Right. All right. I put up the flyer for the show. That's the only representation other than the monster from Spider-Man 2 that was, or the Spider-Man movie with the lizard in it, which didn't really look like them, but kind of did. But it really looks like the statue I put up. But it looks better than the statue and better than the Spider-Man, but just as big as the one from Spider-Man. Like the proportions are slightly off and the adjustments are off. And I was showing Paul this and I go, okay, just take that statue, right? The statue's 8 feet tall. That thing comes down and starts animating and talks to you.
I would be terrified.
Absolutely insanely terrified, right? So now how do you be fearless at this point? Well, you get your act together.
Yeah, you use your arsenal of information.
Because
and
in,
you use your
knowledge
you use,
is power in
you
this.
use your mind to fix the problem.
Okay, well, what I'm finding is as you're leveling up and these layers are being torn out, they can't find, not only they can't find you,
Yeah.
you like they lose track of you.
Right.
So they just let you go because that's another one. I was told this when I was in Tampa when I had them in the room with me. Like we're not going to do nothing to you. We're not going to
Yeah.
physically come in here and eat you.
We're just here.
We're here to tell you what's up though. And then I touched one of them and they were like, don't ever do that again or I will kill you. It becomes that don't you touched, you didn't ask.
Right.
And you're like, oh, you're real. Okay. So you can very easily dominate us horribly. And they're like, well, we do. We run everything. You think you run stuff, but you don't run
No.
anything at all.
No.
You just play your game inside of our environment that we provide for you. And it becomes like, whoa, 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 whoa. This is where I change my attitude. And people are like, aren't you scared of that? And I'm like, no, I hold my ground. I go, y'all know you're talking to the creator, right? Like you can see that I can see you. We're part of these situations where the body was developed and part of this, and then you control us and eat us under, the guys, when we're afraid of you, we give off something and you come and eat. So you guys are harvesting us one way. Ascension's not what everybody's been told, by the way. Like they make it like UFOs are going to pull you off the planet or you're going to go up some ladder and all this other stuff, but it's built into you. The ascension is up into you. You go from base to source and then you compress it all and it like loads source into you correctly, right? Like the real you inside your body. Not the personality you developed because
No,
you've been
the
told
essence
what
of
to
you.
be. The essence of you. Thank you, Paul, my theoretical translator. I love you. So that guy or girl, that character, that being comes out. That being, that character, the Raw, the Christ, whatever you want to call it, can handle those things. Straight up, can handle anything. I'm not... What I've seen, we've talked about over the past couple of weeks, what the light body and being can do. I'm sure if you ask anyone that talks about any of that on any of the shows you've ever heard, they will tell you it's an invincible light body. You'll be able to do all these. They always start with, you'll be able to heal first. You'll be able to heal yourself first. You got to go through the process, and then boom, there's a light body at the end of the road.
Mm-hmm.
The ayahuasca is pushing this, right? We're like multiple steps ahead of the enemy, which means that everyone's listening that's part of this, that's part of that program to become the new, is a step ahead. We're the ones that are waking up and witnessing it like, bro, I got to get out of here and move. Like, I got to move my position on the chessboard. You're gaining access to the visual of having to get up and move because you could see more. Your awareness goes up, and now you can make a new position for yourself, which allows you the anonymity, right?
Yeah,
To
the
do what
anonymity that you want.
That you need, and that you need, right? You need shields to protect yourself. Don't act offensively unless you absolutely have to. Stop developing karma, right? If you can't do something, right? To like bring kids into this world. Don't do it. Hold on. Get yourself right before you do something like that. Like, don't go buy a big, giant monster dog and live in a tiny city apartment in New York City and have to keep the dog in a crate for 12 hours a day. Don't do that. Don't be stupid. Time for being like that is over. It's over. Start using your head a little bit. Become the observer. And this is how they explain it to me. They're like, you get involved, right, when you have to, but never get involved. Be the observer. Don't get involved, but if you have to get involved, right? And I'm like, all right, so you mean I'm watching everyone at the restaurant and the kid in front of me's choking on a chicken bone or something, right? And I get up and 50% starts camera. Yeah. The other 50% debate whether or not, or like 40% debate. Should we call the cops? Should I be the one that calls 911? Maybe the guy that owns the place should come out with the defibrillator and smack this dude in the head and knock the chicken bone out of him. While all that's going on, there's a few people that are going, yo, grab him, and someone will shout, get him, and the closest person or someone will pop up. Maybe, is there a doctor in the house? No, I'm here. Take self-responsibility. But there, 40% of those people going, hey, they're going to sue me, though, if I grab them. Listen. We'll work through that part when we get there. What are you trying to do here? What are you trying to accomplish? So you're going to just ignore it while someone chokes to death right in front of you? No, you get involved, but then don't get involved. Right. Don't get involved with the drama. Look what you did. I love you. I did my best.
Move
on. That's it. When somebody brings you the drama, don't get involved. You ever notice when you're like, oh, I'll listen to your problem. And then you listen to it and you feel like it's stuck to you now. And now you have to like help this person with their problem. But they never actually listen to you when you help them. They just want you to listen to them.
They just want to.
Because they're in their own universe.
Yeah, because some people don't
Stop trying to force a square peg in a round hole.
People don't want you to solve their problems. They want someone to listen to them. So listen when people talk. A lot of people don't listen. Listen.
One of the things I noticed, because I know we're running out of time, because I mentioned it, at the beginning of this whole experience, there was a white lion being that was watching me and smiling, and I felt like he was my grandfather of some kind, because the white ones aren't as big as the 5 brothers I have. No way. They're gigantic. They'll smack around the lizards like no problem. It's just something I wanted to mention because they're there. I've seen pictures of them online. I'm like, yo, that's the dude that he was standing right there watching me the whole time. And I was like, oh, you came here to watch. That's amazing. They're like, well, you have to do this yourself. Right? So I wound up rearranging my brain. My actual brain looked like a Rubik's Cube that was way out of place. And it came apart. I had to check my sanity so many times. I didn't even know my name. I didn't know who I was. I didn't remember anything. And then as one block came back to the other block came back, and I started remembering not only who I was, I saw symbols from Atlantis turning and then wisdom flying into me. And I was like, is this possible? Is this even possible? This is amazing. And they were like, are you okay? And I go, I want more because I want me back. Mm-hmm. I go, where's my fractals? They go, you have none. You're done. You're done. You're not creating karma. You're not out there punching someone and doing stupid things, and winning the stupid prizes that you're looking for out there. I'm not following a Kardashian. I'm shutting the TV off. We laugh a lot, right? We don't live the perfect lives. We're not the perfect beings, but we're trying to be fearless. It's a journey. It's an adventure. Take it. It's awesome. It's good. Lots of holy moly moments. Thanks for being here tonight. We love you so much. Stick around for Beyond the Veils coming up next. Paul is your protection from deception. And so am I. Fearless. Live every Saturday night. Check it out. Remember, put up some protection because you need it from these lizards.